What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick Chapla, founder of POWLAX and creator of POWLAX Master Coach, and in this video we're going to be going over a drill that I absolutely love to do, and that drill is circle dodging. The reason that I love to do circle dodging so much is because it gets every player that you have actively involved, learning things like stick protection, ball control through dodges, footwork on dodges, fakes. All of those things can be wrapped up into this same drill, and if you have a lot of players, you can get everybody actively doing it at once. And if you have younger players, you can also get them doing it at once so that they're not off screwing around doing God knows what. To set up circle dodging, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to set up cones in a circle that's big enough to fit all of your players around it with enough space to do all of the dodges and the fakes and the things that we're going to be practicing within the drill. Now, you don't actually have to use cones, but the reason that we want to use cones is so that players don't condense into the middle, because if you don't have cones and players don't have a reference for how wide they're supposed to go, every single time they're going to condense, everyone's going to lose all their space, and you're going to have to spread everybody out 2 or 3 or 4 times during the course of actually running the drill. Once all the cones are placed, you're going to have everybody at your practice spread out around the circle with enough space to do all of the dodges and fakes and things that you want to do. Now, before we get into actually running the drill, there are 2 other things we want to make sure we know before we start to run it. The first is, how do coaches interact with the drill? The first thing you have to have for every drill is you have to have one coach that is going to be the person running the drill. So even though this has everybody working in it, it's very structured. So one coach needs to be the coach who's going to make the calls. And that coach can do it by standing in the middle or by being an active participant running around the outside doing all of the dodges and all of the faking and cradling like all the other players are. So this is the way that I recommend you do it. This all relates back to a psychology term called social learning theory, which pretty much states that humans learn best by watching others do things. So the way we kind of relate this is that if you are a coach who is always commending other players, you're telling players that they did a good job, and you're also, one who wants to make sure everything is right, other players and the people who are around you are going to look at that and learn how to coach by watching you. And so they will in turn commend other people and build them up rather than push them down. However, if you're a coach that's always yelling and screaming, your players are going to learn to yell and scream more than they would to, commend and say good job. That's why I recommend that you be a coach who goes through the drill and actively participates, because a lot of times players are going to get confused while running the drill and they're going to want to look to someone, and if they can look to you to see the real technique of how to do whatever it is, then they will learn faster and better as they go. The last way that a coach can be integrated into the drill is by being another coach. So there has to be one to run it, and that person should run it actively or in the middle. If you've got other coaches, they can stand around the circle to give players a real reference of a defenseman as you are doing the dodges. So if you're doing an east-west dodge, that coach would run with the player. If you're doing a north-south dodge, that coach would stand on the circle and the players would dodge by them. Whereas with an east-west dodge, like a rocker, if I have my stick protection and I have my stick, in tight, protected by my body, now the inside of the circle is there because I'm protecting with my body right here. The next thing we have to address with this drill is that there's always a defender in the middle. So when you are setting up this drill, make sure that all of the players understand that we are imagining a defenseman in the middle of the circle. So anytime that your stick is in the circle, it is vulnerable. It's going to get checked. So you always want to have your stick to the outside. Now, this is different if we are going to do something like a wind-up face dodge, because in order to do a face dodge, you are pretty much saying that the defenseman is where my stick is. So if my stick is in the middle, I'm going to face dodge away to protect, and so this would be the outside of the circle. But then as I bring it back, I would have it in the middle. To start running the drill, the first thing you're going to do before you get everyone started is you're just going to have all of the players around the circle start walking in the same direction. I know this sounds really trivial, but a lot of times if you don't start them out with something as easy as walking, they really don't grasp the idea of what they're doing until they see that everyone is moving in the same direction. Now we're going to get into some live videos and show you exactly how circle dodging works. In this first video, the players are practicing wind-up face dodges right-handed. So they're going through their wind-up, face dodging over, carrying for at least 3 steps with their stick protected, and then bringing their stick back to their collarbone. Once you get done running it one direction, it's really good to run it the next. So in this video, everyone is going left-handed. Here is also an example of a coach acting as a defenseman within the circle. So this coach is standing there, and as players reach him, they are winding up face dodging as they go through. Now, as a coach in this particular situation, you want to make sure that you are hiding your stick and then maybe poking out to full extension so that players learn the idea of dodging before they get to stick's length. If you've ever seen a freshman go to their first practice, defensemen love this because as they throw their nice slap check out to their full extended arm, full extended stick, so many times I've seen freshmen try to split dodge and the stick just, oh man, it just hits it right there. They lose the ball and they turn the ball over. But so make sure that you are preparing your players for seeing the entire stick length and doing their dodge before they hit that length. The next dodge that we moved to was a wind-up spin move. So in this, all players have their sticks to the inside and they're going to wind up, tuck their stick to their shoulder, and turn towards their stick so that they do a nice little spin move and end up behind the player who was approaching them. The third skill that we show here is a rocker to a fake. And so in this one, instead of having 2 hands on the stick and trying like a wind-up, now players are carrying with 1 hand, using their arm for stick protection, and as they run, then they're going to do a rocker where they stop completely, act like they're going to roll, and then continue going, and then they're practicing also putting their hand back on their stick, turning to throw a fake. And so as players are doing this within these drills, you're going to want to make sure a coach is actively calling it out. So here, you would hear a coach saying, rocker, fake, rocker, fake. And hopefully this coach is actively doing it with the players like we mentioned before. The last dodge that we're going to go over in circle dodging is a slide dodge. Now, if you don't know what a slide dodge is, definitely check out the terminology section of POWLAXmastercoach.com and make sure you get updated on how exactly to do a slide dodge. But for this, as players are practicing their slide dodge, they are protecting their stick back behind them, shuffling slowly, and then exploding to try to gain an advantage on the defenseman. So this first round, it's slide, 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 explode. Slide, 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 explode. And as you build up these skills, it's very important to make sure that players are going both directions. So in this next one, players are going to go the same way, but now we are going to have them roll back right after they explode. So this one would be slide, 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 explode, roll back. And as you're watching this video, it's important to know that if you're ever doing an east-west dodge, if you're going to do a roll dodge, it's important that you don't really want to beat anybody east-west. So if I'm running east-west, say behind the goal, and I'm running from back left to back right, anytime that I do a change of direction dodge, I don't want to just end up beating them the other direction. I want to beat them to the middle of the field. So in this first example, notice how a bunch of the players didn't end up inside of the circle because they didn't think that they wanted to get into the middle of the field, which would be behind a defenseman. So in this next one, I stopped everyone, told them to end up in the middle of the field, and now as we slide, 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 explode, roll back, everyone ended up in the middle, which would be behind the defenseman and in a dangerous position. Some of the drills that I like to pair circle dodging with really depend on the day and what we are actively doing. So it really doesn't matter what you pair it with, as long as whatever dodges and footwork that you're working on, that the players will see it later in the practice. If you guys end up running circle dodging in some of your practices, please let me know how it goes. If you have any questions or comments, email me at patrick@powlax.com. Make sure to check out POWLAX Master Coach for more terminology, skill, drill videos. Also subscribe to our email list where we send out free drill, skill, terminology videos just like this one. Have a great week. We'll see you in the next video.